welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are enjoying my Ultima build. On the last video you saw me put on the side pods, the wheels and tires. I made some huge moves, got this thing on the ground. It's finally going into the home stretch. So on this video, what I'd like to do is work on the dashboard, which is integrated into this Canopy. You can see I've already got it on. And all I need to do is really lay out the dash and drill the holes for the switches and everything and see where they're gonna go. I know I'm going to put the aim dash right where the steering wheel is, and then other than that, it's just a matter of determining where I'm gonna put the starter switch and the wiper switch and all those things so that I can make a nice layout. And then finally, I'm gonna wrap the dash in Alcantara with orange stitching. So let me show you what we've got going on. All right, so I've got the center canopy section on here, and you can really see it start to take shape. I've got it put in place with some Cleco pins. Thankfully, everything lined up perfectly. I put these tape lines on there right when I disassembled the body at the very beginning. Everything's matching up perfectly. So I've got it all put into place so that I can mark out the dash. Nothing's moving. This bulkhead panel has rivets along the top, and I'm glad I didn't finalize that. That was one of the questions I asked some of the other builders, because I think some people end up riveting the whole thing and then realize, well, this canopy section has to go on top, so you don't want to re-rivet everything and you'd have to drill all those out. So that was a good thing that didn't get done. And again, this rear bulkhead panel, that one's not riveted in either, because there's a firewall panel that needs to go up here. So anyways, onto the dash. Here's the dash. I don't know what these circles are. I guess these are maybe to help people that are doing the analog gauges. Maybe they're nothing. I don't really know. They don't really apply to my build. But here's sitting in the car for the first time. And what I need to do is, the steering column is right behind this. So I need to mark the hole, drill that out first. Then I'm going to put the steering shaft in and put the steering wheel, and then kind of determine where everything needs to go in relation to that. So first step is to tape this off and mark it, and then get to cutting. All right, so here's where we're at. Got the canopy upside down on some of these body stand or body shop type stands. And I went ahead and taped up the whole dash area. And basically the reason for putting this on the car first is you need to get your steering wheel hole. So once you get your steering wheel hole, everything kind of goes around that. So the factory provides a diagram, and it shows, you know, like it'll be a certain amount of millimeters from here to here and then here to here. So this is the power mirror switch. This will be the ignition switch, AC vent, and then I've got 5 switches and warning lights, and then I'm using these 2 at the end for the lift kit, and then the steering wheel. And then I kind of put some lines while the steering wheel was on so that I could kind of get an idea of where the steering wheel will be in sort of my line of sight. That is the red start button. We've got another AC vent there, and then I wasn't going to put 4 AC vents in the dash. I originally wanted to do that, but there's just not enough room, and the factory provisions are to have them right here. I guess you could kind of use it as a defrost setting as well. First off, they have you, in one diagram I want to say, they have them a little bit further off, closer to the windshield, but they said if you put a radio in to use an alternate spot, so I put it in the spot closest to the passenger compartment and the driver, just so I get the most air. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take off this tape, and then I'm going to mask off this whole area and paint everything under here black so it's uniform with the other panels. So let's get that started. All right, so here's where we are currently at. I've got all the inside painted. You can see that's all painted. Everything turned out perfectly. Took the weather stripping off, and then I had this thing upside down like you guys saw, and then hit the underside with a satin black. See if you can see all up under there. Yeah, looks really good. Let's see, I've got the Alcantara with orange stitching. I'm going to glue that to the dashboard now. I've got, as you can see, I've got the aim dash installed. Check that out. It's exactly where it's gonna go. Center line with the steering wheel. I don't know if it's in focus, there we go. So there's the dash, I've got all my switches laid out, AC lines, there's the start button, everything's good to go. So what I'm gonna do for this Alcantara dash is, I think best practice is to start right here and then glue this strip down and then work my way out and then work my way down, and then any overlap that gets to here will be trimmed perfectly. I'm going to use some 3M high temp headliner adhesive, wait for it to get a little tacky, and then just work my way down. So let's get this going and see how it goes. Alright, there it is, all done. You can see right down there, all my switches, AC vent, aim dash, another AC vent, another AC vent, and there's one right under here too. All this stuff is just duct tape residue from when it was shipped. Once I put the windshield in, I'll get all that off. But yeah, pretty happy with the way it turned out. Looks pretty good. So as I finish the center canopy, my plan was to put it onto the rest of the chassis and sort of head towards the home stretch. And I was sitting in here working on a few things, tidying a few things up, and realized that I cannot put the center canopy section on until I've got the sill covers. So as I make this, I actually have not touched this car in about 3 weeks because I've been waiting for these carbon fiber sill covers to ship, and they just got here today. So since I haven't been filming, one thing that I did end up doing, because I can't just sit and do nothing, I ended up sort of, I don't know about copying, but sort of using this as a template. So this is the stock, or the one provided with the kit. This is a throttle body relocation. So you can see this is where the throttle body mounts to on the engine, and it sits so close to the firewall. You can kind of see, like, so the firewall is like right here on the car, and you can't fit the intake to this opening right where the throttle body sits. So there's this elbow that you have to option with the car. And when I had the supercharger ported, I had this opened up so that it can actually accept a 112 millimeter throttle body. Well, this opening right here on the stock one is about 93 millimeters. And here's the stock throttle body, which is 95 millimeters. So I do not want this to be sort of a bottleneck part in the air intake. So I went online and I ordered a 3D printer. I never really done anything like this or used a 3D printer to print anything, but I got on Fusion 360 and I modeled this right here, which it's just much wider, and it definitely has a whole lot more airflow than the stock one. So this is just printed in PLA as my prototype, and then I'm going to print it in nylon carbon fiber for the final version, and then bolt it up. I already bolted up and test fit it. It clears all the belts, clears the top, clears the bottom, and it doesn't stick out any more than the stock one, but it's opened up to 103 millimeters at the very least. So I can run my throttle body that I'll be using. Now I'm going to finalize a couple little wires, and then I'm going to put that center section on, and then I will be done with this video. So let's get at it. All right, so I went ahead and finalized a bunch of the dash wires. I'm not going to need any of the analog outputs since I'm doing the AIM digital dash. Over there is quite the mess of wires though, but over here it's all really cleaned up. This one thing sticking off, that's just the starter button. And then I've got wires coming down here, and then they go into the luggage container. And you can see this is just like an entire mess of wires. It's got that huge bundle of wires for the GM ECU. Some of the things that I needed to connect were, and this is all going to be cleaned up too, but this one right here, this pink one, let me see if you can see it. Yeah, that pink one right there. That wakes up the ECU, so that connects to the Ultima loom and wakes up upon turning the ignition key. And then this one is one of the fan wires. This actually goes over to a couple plugs that go into a relay, and this triggers the fans. There's two outputs on the GM ECU for the fans. This one is labeled fan 1. I can't really turn it around, but there's a little label right there that says fan 1. And then that turns on at a certain temperature, a lower temperature, and then fan 2 turns on a little higher. The Ultima doesn't choose either fan, it just turns on both, so I wanted to go with the lower temperature so I can get cooling as quick as possible. Also, you can see I've got my carbon fiber sill covers. This is the part that I've been waiting for a while, and finally got those. I used a paper template to install them, and one of the things that kind of got me a little bit, and I was really paying attention, which you always have to do on here so you don't cut too much or anything, and thankfully my cuts ended up being next to perfect for this. So you can see how it fits on the side pod, and you can see that this distance between the carbon fiber and the orange is different from right here, which is different from, you can see it tapers off. So what happens is you could make a paper template, which is what I almost did, is make a paper template that doesn't fit properly, or you put your paper template on wrong. So you obviously cut out a piece of paper that's exactly the size of this sill cover, and then what I did is I cut out a part in the paper so that I could see exactly where this fits down, because there's actually like just a little bit of an opening right here, and then there's metal bars. You can see one of them right here. Under here, so you don't want this sitting like obviously right here, so that you can't, you know, access your, I don't even know if a girl could put her purse there, but so you can't really access it properly. So anyways, you get your piece of paper and you'll want to put it down on here and like do it exactly straight, you know, just like how your minds think of, okay, well, I'm gonna put it exactly straight, and you might put it to where it comes over here, and then you'll end up cutting way more off of this carbon fiber part, and it won't look right once it's on. So one way that I got to realize how I would lay my paper template down was when this thing was off the car, and it's not bonded, but I don't want to take it off right now on camera, but you take this off and you lean it like this, and you see how the tolerance is from this little lip that goes over the roll bar to right here, and you just kind of tilt it and use the very front of it and measure from here to here, and you'll see that it'll just end like right there. And then as you move it back and you put this thing here to measure, you'll see that it goes out much further. So you're like, okay, well, I need to make sure that when I put my template on, it goes to the edge right here, and then I realized that it needed to be about 1/4 of an inch right here. So when I laid it down, I made all my little cuts, transferred it to the actual carbon fiber, and I made one cut and did not have to go back for any revisions. So that's like a record for me, but there's so much cutting in building one of these things that you start to get pretty good at it. So got these on. Next steps are to work on the AIM dash right there. So I ended up cutting it all out and thinking I was good to go, but then I put my steering wheel on to test fit, and the steering wheel will end up running into the AIM dash if you have it with the full, I guess, little lip right here. So I trimmed, there was actually carbon fiber from like here all the way to the top. So I had to cut out this whole thing, and it goes all the way around. So this actually sits like flush up against the dash, so that when the steering wheel finally bolts on, it can turn freely. So I have to cut out some of the things there so that the aim dash can go all the way up. And then I'm pretty much done. And then I'm also 3D printing inside some dome lights that I made for right here. So I'll show you those next. All right, so like I said, I was gonna 3D print some dome lights. I got them installed. They're wired up top. And basically they consist of a small plate that goes on top, and then there's a little square LED chip that then double-side tapes to that. And then I have a plate that goes on this side, and then it actually holds this little half orb lens in, and then there's a hole for a switch right here. I don't have the battery hooked up right now, but I did test it, and when you flip this switch, they both turn on. Plenty of light for in here. It's a really small cockpit, so no issues there. Once this whole center canopy is put on, and then there's a back firewall plate, I can run that wire behind the carpet and make it look perfect. Speaking of carpet, I was looking at this and I figured I think it's best to put some carpet in here. It turned out perfect, I think. I did it on both sides, and you can see like right there the way that carbon fiber piece goes right over the carpet. Perfectly finished, looks really, really nice. Like I said, I got this side all done and cut perfectly. These things open up. I've got everything insulated. Need to finalize a little bit of the wiring in there, but other than that, got my ECU, everything all tidied up, looking good. Those are the AC lines that are insulated. Then, like I said, I had to do the aim dash and make it fit flush right there. So everything was good. Definitely not ideal to be cutting after you've already fitted the dash fabric, but everything turned out perfect. I just masked it off and everything turned out nice. So next steps are to fit the center canopy. Got all the holes drilled. One of them is for the lift kit. One of them is for the loom. Then I've got all these little holes that I made a template from this part down here. Made a little template of all those holes that go across so that I could transfer it to this right here. So once I put it down, hopefully it lines up perfectly. So coming over here to the rear firewall, I was going to coat it in this DEI Reflectigold, which seems to be what everyone uses, but when I took it out of the package, I didn't realize that it was so thin. It's definitely more of a reflector than an insulator. So I had this product from them as well. This is their transmission tunnel product, and it's all luminized. This, I believe they say, can withstand direct heat of 850 degrees Fahrenheit continuous. This is, I believe, 1700 continuous, and you can see it's a lot thicker. Here's a piece of it right here. It's just probably 1/4 of an inch thick, and it has this insulation right here. Much happier with this than this. This looks cool. I might wrap the dry sump tank with that, but this is definitely, I think, the best for engine heat, constant radiant heat. So I wrapped it, and this will be ready to go on. Got all my holes drilled, so we're good to go with that. All right, so I'm ready to fit the center canopy for final assembly. I got the rear firewall in there. It's a lot easier to get in there without the canopy on, because the fuel tanks and stuff come, or the fuel filler caps come up kind of high up here. So got that sitting in there. It's all ready and insulated. Got all my wires tidied up and kind of put over here in a bundle. That'll definitely all be taken care of once I finish everything. Got my AC tubes ready to roll. Got everything plugged in, ready to go. Got my center canopy sitting outside here. Got the aim dash going. Got my AC vents on. Got these holes drilled that I talked about. And I got the wiper motor installed, ready to go. That's the windshield washer nozzle right there. And I got the fuel filler caps on. These things are really cool. They say Ultima on them. They have a key. Turn them, open them up. Really, really cool. High quality. Everything's billet aluminum. Very, very nice. Let's get this thing on. right, so here it is. Canopy's on. Not permanently fixed into place, but I'm gonna make sure that once I pull the trigger to do that, I've got all my switches in and there's no problems anywhere. So right now, you can see that's hanging, the firewall piece. Got a couple little things to do here and there before I fit it. Like I said, the switches, steering wheel, stuff like that. Right now, I'm just gonna hop underneath, tidy up all those wires, find out where they all need to go, do the AC vents, but could not be happier. You can see how like everything over here just fits perfectly and looks great. So that's gonna be a wrap for this video. I think it's a good milestone and stopping point of fitting the center canopy section in. I know it's been a long time since my last video, but like I said, there were those unforeseen delays of waiting for the carbon fiber sill covers, about 3 weeks of doing nothing, so I was going pretty stir crazy. Next steps are to rivet the center section into its final place. It's not going anywhere, it's just gonna get riveted as it sits right there. And then I need to put the firewall on there as well. And then in the next video, I'm going to be dropping the engine in finally, and then using that to then measure certain things, do my fuel system, do my dry sump oil system, all that. So next video is probably gonna be pretty exciting. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, criticisms, suggestions, please drop them below, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.